If you're God, why are you still searching for him? They told you God was in the sky, watching, judging, waiting to be pleased. And you believed it. You were trained to pray for signs, beg for guidance, and prove your worth to something far beyond your reach. But what if I told you that everything you were taught about God was designed to keep you from realizing that you are the very thing you've been searching for? That the reason you still feel lost is because you're looking in the wrong direction. It's not your fault. You were programmed to believe the divine is separate from you, that you're just a sinner, a servant, a small being hoping to be chosen. But here's the twist no one dares to say out loud. You were never disconnected. The silence you feel isn't absence, it's presence, waiting for you to notice. This video is not another spiritual pep talk, it's a wake-up call, because the moment you stop searching for him out there is the same moment you start remembering who you really are. And once that memory comes back, your entire reality shifts fast. 1. The illusion of separation from the divine. Most people grow up thinking God is somewhere out there, in the sky, in a temple, in a book. This belief creates a deep fracture between who we think we are and who we really are. It makes us feel small, unworthy, and constantly in need of permission to connect with something sacred. But what if the distance you feel is just a trick of the mind? A mental program passed down through generations, designed to keep you seeking instead of realizing. The illusion of separation is powerful because it hides in plain sight. We say things like, God willing, or may God bless you, as if divine power is separate from our own will and presence. That subtle language reinforces a story where you're always the servant, never the source. You can spend a lifetime chasing after an invisible force, not realizing it's been running through your breath, your awareness, and your being all along. This separation keeps you trapped in duality, good versus bad, light versus dark, heaven versus earth. It's the mind's way of simplifying what it can't comprehend. But the truth is, there's no real line between the divine and the human. The body you're in, the thoughts you have, the love you feel, they're not just yours. They're expressions of something infinite playing human for a while. And once you see that clearly, you stop worshipping the light and start being the light. You don't need to abandon spirituality, you just need to flip the script. Instead of reaching outward, start turning inward. Practice silent observation. Try sitting still for 10 minutes a day without trying to connect to anything. Just be. Watch what happens when you stop looking for God and start remembering you never left him. And maybe that realization isn't the end. Maybe it's just the beginning of seeing who was really doing the searching. 2. The real identity of the seeker. It's one of the biggest cosmic jokes. God, dressed up as a confused human, wandering around asking, "Where's God?" That's the real paradox of the spiritual path. The one who's searching is the very thing being searched for. But the ego hates that idea. It wants God to stay out of reach, on a pedestal, so it can keep feeling important for seeking the truth, while secretly avoiding the real work, inner realization. The ego creates a version of you that looks like a humble seeker, always reading, meditating, chasing the next breakthrough. But underneath all of that effort is fear. Fear of finding out there's no separate savior coming, because you are the one you've been waiting for. This isn't about inflating your ego, it's about dissolving it. And nothing threatens the ego more than realizing your divine identity isn't something you earn. It's what you already are. Think about it. When you feel a deep pull towards something higher, when you question this world or feel like you don't quite belong, that's not weakness. That's your eternal soul knocking, asking you to wake up. The seeker's hunger is real, but it only exists because something inside already knows the truth. The truth isn't in a temple or a retreat in Bali. It's in the awareness watching all your thoughts, even now as you read this. So the next time you feel lost and start asking, "Where's God?" flip the question. Ask instead, "Who's asking?" Let that question echo in your silence. Let it burn a little. You'll start to notice something weird. The moment you stop trying to find God, a deeper part of you starts to remember God. And that quiet remembering, it leads straight into something even more uncomfortable and even more liberating. 3. The trap of external worship. Most people were taught that the path to God is paved with rituals, rules, and reverence for something outside themselves. Light the right candle, say the right words, kneel at the right time, and maybe, just maybe, he'll notice you. But here's the uncomfortable truth. The more you project divinity outward, the more you delay your own spiritual awakening. You keep giving your power away while calling it devotion. External worship isn't wrong. It's just incomplete. At some point, it becomes a spiritual distraction, like staring at a locked door with the key in your pocket. You pray to statues, fast for blessings, chant in foreign languages, and follow ancient traditions without ever asking, "Who told me God was somewhere else?" That question alone has the power to wake you up. Not because you'll find the answer, but because you'll start noticing the illusion of separation. Real transformation begins when you reclaim what you've been outsourcing. Instead of begging the skies for peace, why not cultivate it within your own body? Instead of waiting for miracles, why not be the miracle in someone's life today? Call someone you've been avoiding. Forgive someone without being asked. Those simple acts carry more divine weight than 1,000 rituals done in fear, because they come from you, not some imagined source far away. The great irony? Most of what we do in the name of worship is actually a way of avoiding the inner work. It's easier to follow a rule book than to sit alone in silence and feel your own soul. But once you start looking inward, you'll begin to realize something wild. That presence you were chasing in temples and altars, it was never there to begin with. And that realization quietly prepares you for the next shock. 4. God is not a person. God is awareness. Here's where everything flips. You've spent years trying to define God as a man in the sky, a force, a father, a creator. But what if God is not a being at all? What if God is awareness itself, not someone you pray to, but the silence you pray from? This isn't just a spiritual idea. It's a direct experience hiding in plain sight, felt in the stillness between your thoughts and the space behind your breath. When you stop imagining God as a person, something unexpected happens. Your relationship with life changes. You begin to see divinity in moments, not monuments. The wind brushing your face, the pause in a conversation, the feeling of being fully here, that's God. Not an old man with a beard keeping score, but pure, unfiltered awareness. And the more you stay present, the more obvious it becomes that this awareness isn't yours. It is you. This awareness doesn't come and go like emotions. It's the background of everything. It's the reason you can notice your thoughts, feel your emotions, observe your body. You're not just the thinker, you're the observer of the thinker. That shift is more powerful than 1,000 sermons. Try it. Sit down, close your eyes, and for 1 minute, don't try to control anything. Just notice. That space you fall into, that's where God lives. People wait for signs, visions, or voices, thinking that's how God shows up. But the real revelation is much simpler and much harder to accept. God has no voice because God is the silence. And when you finally meet that silence without trying to shape it, you begin to suspect something strange. Maybe all those prayers you whispered were really messages you left for yourself to one day remember. 5. You are the answer you keep praying for. It's a little ironic, isn't it? We spend years asking the sky for signs, begging for miracles, pleading for strength. But what if every single prayer was actually a message from you, not just to something else? What if your deepest longing wasn't for help, but for remembrance? You weren't asking for something to be sent. You were calling yourself back home. That changes everything. The truth is, you already hold the wisdom you're searching for. Not in the future, not after 10 more books or another retreat. Right now, it's buried under noise, yes, but it's there. Every time you doubt yourself, that's not intuition, it's old programming. And every time you feel that strange sense that you know what to do but ignore it anyway, that's your divine identity quietly knocking, saying, "Hey, I'm still here." Think back to times when life seemed to fall apart and somehow you pulled through. You made a decision, followed a hunch, changed your mind, and things shifted. That wasn't luck. That was you accessing your inner realization without even knowing it. You weren't saved by a higher force. You became it. That's not arrogance, that's awakening. When you see yourself as a channel of the same energy you once worshipped, you stop begging and start embodying. So if you've been waiting for a sign, here it is. Stop waiting. The part of you that feels like something's missing is the same part that's trying to wake you up. You're not the beggar. You're the source. And as soon as you embrace that truth, another question starts to rise. One you've probably never asked before, but should have a long time ago. 6. The role of memory in spiritual amnesia. Ever wonder why, even after hearing that you're divine, you still feel separate? Like there's this invisible wall between you and everything sacred? That's not because you're doing something wrong. It's because you've forgotten something deep. Spiritual amnesia is real, and it runs the show until you start poking holes in it. Most people don't realize their thoughts aren't neutral. They're echoes of old conditioning, shaping what they believe is real. From childhood, you were taught you were just a body, a name, a personality. And then life kept reinforcing that identity through school, work, religion. All of it layered over your true self like dust on a mirror. Eventually, the reflection becomes so blurred that you forget there was even a light behind it. That's how the illusion of separation works, not by removing your power, but by making you forget it was ever yours. But here's the catch. Your divine identity isn't erased. It's just buried. Think of it like a password-protected file on your soul's hard drive. Meditation, silence, and self-inquiry aren't just spiritual trends. They're tools to crack open the memory vault. Try journaling your earliest memories of God and how they made you feel. Were you afraid, guilty, unworthy? Those early emotional codes often become the barriers to spiritual awakening. Once you start seeing that your sense of separation is inherited, not inherent, you take your power back. You stop asking, "What's wrong with me?" and start asking, "Who gave me this story?" And from there, something remarkable starts happening. Your mind may resist, but your soul, it begins to remember. And in that remembrance, something stirs, something that doesn't want to keep searching anymore. 7. Stop searching. Start realizing. There comes a moment, after all the books, rituals, and midnight conversations, where something clicks. You realize the journey wasn't about finding anything, it was about stopping. Not out of laziness, but because the more you chase, the more you reinforce the idea that you're lacking. And that's the real illusion. The treasure was never hidden, it was just ignored. The search itself became the distraction from the truth that was always there. Think of it like looking for your glasses when they're on your face. You can run all over the house, turn everything upside down, but you won't find them, because they never left. That's exactly what it's like with your divine identity. The more you search, the more you're looking away from what's already inside. And the moment you stop trying so hard, you create space for clarity to rise on its own. That's not giving up, it's waking up. Inner realization isn't about effort, it's about attention. It's about sitting in stillness without trying to get anywhere and noticing what's already present. The mind hates this. It wants goals, finish lines, achievements. But awareness? It doesn't play that game. It just waits. Calm, patient, eternal. And when you finally stop and look around, You'll realize that you were never broken, never separate, never lost. The seeker disappears, and what's left is something much quieter, but far more powerful. No lightning bolts, no drama. Just a soft knowing that everything you looked for was right here. And once that knowing settles in, a new kind of life begins, one where the divine isn't a concept anymore. It's your default. And that quiet shift? It opens a whole new door. If you want to elevate your vibrations and manifest with more ease, I have prepared something special for you. Click the link in the first pinned comment and join us in the journey of awakening your inner mage.